I'm conducting a life experiment to see if you can build a completely alternative life. And I'm the guinea pig. My dream life is to start weird businesses all around the world. From tiki bars in Antigua to safaris in South Africa. Success means that each business earns hundreds of thousands of pounds, all whilst traveling the world. The catch? I have absolutely no clue how to do this. Only 10 weeks left before I'm out of money. And the irony is, I absolutely hate creating content. So I hired James. Alright, mate! You may recognise him from the Hardest Geezers Project Africa team. So is this alternative life even possible? Can you make loads of money whilst also travelling the world? Let's find out. Ow! In this episode, week 2 of trying to generate $10,000 for our tech app Yoodoo commences. I strike my first lucrative deal of the project, and we celebrate England reaching the Euro 2024 final. Vamos! My hope this week basically is that we all just really do our roles to the best we possibly can. Before we enter the week, are there any gaps in clarity on what everyone's role actually is?
Can you clarify the exact roles again based on Friday's?
Yeah, so you, Ross, you are in charge of bulk content creation, and I'm going to give you some metrics for you to hit every day, which are fairly substantial, but I'll explain the reasoning for them. But long story short, your job is to absolutely smash out creation of content. Your job is for Ross to pass over that content to you to then edit in the way that you do. Understanding what the algorithm favors, fast and snappy, engaging, clear hook, offer of a payoff. And then Ross, your job is just to bulk create, basically. What that means from a numbers standpoint, we have 19 days left here in order to get to the 10,000 downloads, which we said we think we need 5 million views. That means one person in every 500 that looks at the video will download. Now that's going to be massively skewed to some videos that say are about Yoodoo specifically. You might get 10 in 500s, and other ones that aren't directly about Yoodoo might be 1 in 5,000. To even have a shot at this, which is a bit of a pipe dream if I'm being honest, is we need to get 210 videos done in the next 19 days, and they need to have an average viewership of 23,000. Really f***ing big targets, which are really f***ing unlikely. But the more realistic approach with this is we're not going to have this perfect average system. We're going to have hopefully 1 or 2 that get to 1 million, 3 or 4 that get to a few 100,000. By having 210 videos, we have the best possible opportunity of getting the odd one that explodes. I'll test the edits with Ross, see if there's anything there. If it's not, just put it in the bin immediately. Don't put anything extra into it. Schedule all the stuff that you finished into both Ross's personal account and the Yoodoo account on TikTok and Instagram. If you have then like a gap of time, then go on to carousels. And I feel like whilst Ross is going to be getting certain stuff from his side, feel free to be creative if you think there's something.
Yeah.
And then finally, Gen Z girl relatable content that you just naturally have, just start producing it as well. Because what's going to happen is Ross is going to pass over his production to you by the end of the day, and then your work tomorrow will be primarily editing that content. That's the system we'll get into. Production, next day edit, production, next day edit. A brand new week was upon us, and as a team, we now had a clear and definitive strategy based on our recent lessons from week 1. Myself and filmmaker James went back to our apartment to work on my own personal content, with the intention of Ross and Elle coming by later in the day to show us their work to review. However, Ross didn't quite stick to his end of the bargain. He made 8 pieces of content, but he also decided to edit it too. And yes, this was supposed to be Elle's role. Right, I left the conversation this morning feeling like if we have to produce high quality content at volume, we're not going to hit it. Because as we found out today, it takes you an hour per post. And if you need to be hitting 11 per day, it's 11 hours just on creating, and you're going to go on this like productivity and then go through the
For high quality, yeah.
Exactly. So today, continue doing, because you're in the rhythm of it, as far as you can get. But tomorrow, Elle should be on editing, so you shouldn't be doing any of your editing today. Like I said, you should just be creating the content.
I get that, but with the editing, I can edit really f***ing quick. The editing will be quicker for me to do than Elle, because it's on the computer, it's not on the app, so you have to feed it into Opus to get those popping captions. Popping ones are really good for ADHD, so it's like, it's got properly moving fast.
You can do that on CapCut.
You can do that in CapCut.
Yeah, it's what I've done all morning.
I feel like this morning shows that.
Alright, so I'll do it on content.
See how much you can produce without editing in an hour, just to see.
We'll probably do 10.
That's the thing.
The whole point of this is right, okay. Right, so let's cut to the chase.
It's not to the chase, said by Ross. With Ross's audacity of demanding that we cut to the chase, we cut off in different directions for the final time of the day, so that we could feel re-energised tomorrow with a ludicrous level of vigour. But, whilst the cameras were off, things took a drastic turn for the worst.
Good morning everyone. I've got to talk a little bit quietly, and that is because Joey Speed has 1 times food poisoning. Can confirm, only coming out the front, not the...
Unfortunately, James's analogy was pretty accurate, and I was indeed struck down by a severe dosage of food poisoning which encouraged my midsection to perform the Macarena on repeat. As a result, the day was a write-off for me. However, James used the opportunity to flee the scene and visit a co-working space to edit in peace for the day, before meeting up with Ross and Elle in the evening, as it was Elle's last night in Barcelona. Elle was heading back to the UK, where she'd edit remotely for Yoodoo from there. Sadly, I was in no fit state to join the party. However, I was hoping I'd be in much better spirits tomorrow, as I had a few tasks that needed resolving.
It's a new dawn, it's a new day. Are you feeling good?
No.
Are we going to be doing stuff with Ross McFarlane today?
Yeah, well, Ross has no clue about numbers at all. That goes for within his own business, like cash flow, it goes for analysing the data of Yoodoo and downloads. Numbers are just not his strong point, which he has owned up to. So I've been trying to get in and amongst the numbers because that is my strong suit. It's been pretty difficult just to even get the first bit of data to then go and analyse. 2 reasons for needing the data. One is so actually we can come up with an actionable plan that is realistic rather than just like a pipe dream, which is what it feels like at the moment. Because even when we set a plan based on the numbers we have, that plan is not executed upon. Reason number 2 is I still haven't got a fucking contract with Ross. So I'm working for free, which is not a sustainable way to run a business, obviously. We've had 2 contracts in the past, which were agreed, which then were basically, no, sorry, something doesn't work in this, let's do it again. That happened before we came out here. Now we're on the 10th of July, 10 days in, and still no contract, still no certainty of what I get out of this agreement. And obviously, because I'm going to run out of fucking money pretty soon, I need to know what I'm going to be getting with it. Because if I'm not going to be getting what I need from it, my time is actually better spent on my own business as opposed to Yoodoo. I don't think it's ever going to come to that, but I do want some certainty around it. And Ross can't give me certainty until he understands his own numbers, which I'm going to do for him, which is why I need the numbers. But also, I have no clue how close we are to our target because Ross hasn't told us any of the data. So we don't know how many downloads we've got from the work that we've done. So we don't know if what the work we've done is completely pointless. And maybe we should be going a completely different direction. I don't think Ross is not sharing them because he's trying to hide something. I just think it's not urgent enough for him. So we're going to kind of create that urgency.
As Ross said the other day, with ADHD, if it's not urgent, it won't get done.
Yes, and I don't want it to sound like I'm shitting on Ross at all because I think Ross will be successful because he's Ross. Like he shouldn't be something he's not. Within this team dynamic of Ross, Elle and I, if we're playing everyone to their strengths, Ross and Elle are the creative people and I've got to be the bad cop sometimes. I don't like playing that role, but part of this is understanding where you're most effective for the team. And in this particular team, because I have structure and organisation, my best role in this team is to be the bad guy. I think today I'm going to have to be a bit of a bad guy.
You're Saka playing left back.
Taking my new role as the bad guy, and with my lack of productivity on the previous day, I was determined to regain some momentum. So I went out to meet up with Ross with the goal of agreeing on a mutually beneficial deal to become Yoodoo's new business partner. What I want to do today is I want to get really into the Yoodoo numbers.
Okay.
The data that I questioned.
Okay.
Do the cash flow for the business so we can get our contract finalised. Because at the moment, I'm getting a little bit nervy, Ross, that there's no agreement in place.
Let's do it.
You both had differences last time with the contract. What exactly, Joey Speed, are you going to be talking about or getting into with Ross over here?
Basically, in the interest of Yoodoo's success in mind, I think the sensible conclusion that the best route to Yoodoo being a success and getting to where the overall targets are, which is helping thousands and thousands of people with ADHD whilst also growing the business to a 7-figure business, is actually I'm the wrong person to have equity in the business, which as part of the original contract, I was going to get equity within Yoodoo. And my thought at the moment, if you look objectively at what's best for Yoodoo, proportioning equity to someone within the niche is better than proportioning it to me, who's not in the niche.
So obviously I want you to come on board with regards to your expertise. You've still got quite a large equity pool, considering I own 100% of the company. I think it's a combination. So I'd still like you to take some equity, if you feel like you can kind of offer it past the business that I massively lack in. With regards to numbers, finance, growth hack, strategy.
It's strategy, right? Like,
Yeah, 100%.
I just looked at the
strategy, yeah.
numbers for a few minutes and I've already seen that we're going in the wrong direction based on the numbers.
Specifically, what's made you come to that conclusion?
If you look at the revenue month to month here, what you can see is that we had Ross had a very strong initial growth. It fell off, started growing again, fell off. And this period between December and February were significantly better. So you can see that we've gone from a high of £1,400 in the month down to 358 in the month. So that's like close to 25% of what we performed at. Subsequent to Ross and I diving into the Yoodoo numbers, it was fair to say that we had a bit of a challenge on our hands. This being said, I do love a good challenge and I still wanted in with the Yoodoo project as I wholeheartedly believe in the product. So myself and Ross had some alone time to discuss our options which could hopefully take Yoodoo to new heights before returning back to the apartment with a magnificently ice cold
Gelato?
Gelato.
You guys have just come back. Happy as Larry? Larry!
Plan and a deal has been struck. So Joey is essentially going to play a long-term role in Yoodoo, but actually a role within finance and strategy.
Basically, I'm CFO of Yoodoo.
Because like I said, Joey said it's about playing to strengths and weaknesses. My strength is not in finances, and my strength is not implementation of said strategy. Look at the numbers. The numbers are a slight cause for concern, but they're manageable.
The numbers are f***ed. Ross has about 24 grand to spend. Over the next 3 months, that 24 grand was all going to be gone and none of it going on what's going to boost revenue. 12 grand, over 50% of the 24 grand, was going to go on dev costs. That's something you put in place to retain existing clients, but there are f***ing none. So there's no point investing in dev. The conversation we're now having is how do we speak to the dev guys and defer that payment so that we can put 10 grand into what's a more guaranteed route to building revenue, i.e. ads. By taking money that would be spent in September and putting it into July on ads, we're going to make a 250% markup on that ad spend so that we actually start making profit as a business. So based on the numbers we've looked at, we think come September, we should be in between 15 and 30k cash in the Yoodoo account from 4k. So now we have a budget, spend money to make money. My job is to manage that process and find the alternative streams that we can go down. Everything we're doing now with the content was based under the assumption that we have no money for ads and we want to go down an organic approach. What we will be doing now is continuing with that, but also get to our target of 10,000 much quicker because we're putting money into achieving that goal. With a new strategy in the works for Yoodoo and a brand new deal agreed, James and I went up to the rooftop to discuss exactly what this meant for us moving forward.
Aside from the stomach cramps, how are you feeling?
I feel good because whilst I was a bit nervy not having the deal done prior to coming, and then we're now 10 days in and we've only just done the deal, it's the right deal and there's a couple interesting things about it. One is that because I showed commitment prior to having a contract and wasn't fixed over that, I think it showed Ross that I'm fairly committed to the project, and that has given me wiggle room to get a good deal for myself and build a lot of trust. So the actual deal we've got is 2k a month as a consulting agreement plus a 10% revenue split. And the reason that deal is fantastic for me personally is most share deals are under profit. And as someone that's coming in from an outside, you don't actually have any say on profit. So for example, if we made 100k a month, Ross could put 90k of that as costs through the business. and there'd only be 10k profit, so my 10% would only be worth 1k. But on revenue, I know exactly how much I'm going to get paid each month because it's binary. So the 10% of 100k is 10k.
It's not like manipulation though, is it? You're physically showing what you're worth. So you're like, I know my value. I'm going to go show my value. Okay, I'm going to risk a little bit of stability at the start, but overall that's going to put you in a better position than it would be if you would have struck a deal before you got here to be safe.
Literally word for word what you said. It's like the law of reciprocity. So most people think in business you have to like take and get as much as you can, whereas my natural style is to give, and in most cases this has been proved correct, that I'll get more in return. You and I spoke about this before in terms of like personal values, like integrity, honesty, all that kind of stuff. They are just words, as my friend Ross would say. Like, values mean nothing, they're just words. It's all about actions and behaviours. I took a risk to come here with no agreement, put a load of money into the cost of the project from our side without knowing I was going to get anything in return, but having faith that by doing that I'd be able to get a really good deal at the end of it, in the middle of it. When Ross and I were going through all the numbers, what he's paying me, I was like, it's a bad deal for you in where you're at now because you don't have the money to be spending £2,000 a month on me. In a lot of cases that honesty would trip you up. Transversely with Ross, it showed him that I will always tell him the truth and be honest with him, and that was enough value to him to be able to basically transfer the risk from me to him. Because in most cases people will do the reverse. They'll hide what they think is bad for the other person because it's good for them, whereas if your approach is just to tell them the reality of the situation, you're probably going to build so much trust they're going to give you a good deal either now or in the short or medium term.
After arguably the most successful day of the project so far, it was time to celebrate by taking a stroll over to Ross's for the evening to watch the almighty Three Lions in an astronomically huge game versus the Dutch in the semi-final of the Euros. But before we got excited over a squad of 26 fully grown men, Ross attempted to heal me with his very own medicinal concoction.
It smells rank.
Nice.
It looks like when I was sick.
Just
It's like
like-
pretty much
it's
the
not,
exact
just-
like for like of what was
It's
sick.
lovely. It's nice. Taste of health, man.
Taste of shit.
Do you want to? Do you want to or not?
What a shit.
What exactly is in that concoction?
It's 2 tablespoons of flaxseed, 1 tablespoon of porridge oats, a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of salt, eucalyptus honey, some soy milk. You're not allergic to soy, are you?
You're a bit late now.
Come on!
In the next episode, we lock horns with local Spaniards in a football challenge, my hairline is absolutely destroyed, and we go behind enemy lines to cheer on England in the finals of the Euros.